you know, I was going to do it like our town. Is that okay with you guys?
As soon as I close the door, you can actually go ahead and start.
Great. Okay. Excited. Okay, we ready? Okay. Good evening. My name is Arlene Miller, and it's my privilege to welcome you to this edition of Our Town. It's been a long time since we've done a taping of Our Town, and I apologize for that. And publicly, I'm going to make a New Year's resolution that we do more frequent publications of Our Town so that you can be better informed. A lot of things are going on in town right now, and this is an opportunity to help the residents become informed. This evening, my guests are Marie Angelides, the chairman of the Select Board, and Stephen Crane, our town manager. The subject at hand is going to be casinos. I don't know what side of the issue you might be on. You might be in favor of a casino or opposed to a casino. Either way, we're going to attempt to give you some information about what Long Meadow is doing about the casino that's being proposed for the city of Springfield. Just a few background segments, and then I will let Marie introduce some topics on that subject. A few years ago, or last summer, I believe it was, at the spring, the City of Springfield residents voted in favor of siting a casino in the south end of the City of Springfield. As part of the Massachusetts gaming law, as I understand it, abutting communities have the responsibility to prepare a mitigation plan for any negative effects caused by the casino. Long Meadow is in the process of preparing that plan. Now, they may be way along the road toward finalizing that. That's what we're going to learn about this evening. But the plan will allow for money to come to the town to help mitigate any of the negative effects from the casino. With that being said, I hope that helps introduce the topic. You have some slides, Marie, you wanted to show, and I'll interject some questions in between, and let's get going.
Thank you. What I wanted to begin with is something that we've shown before, which were slides of what the current offer is and what the revised offer is. And then we were going to go over what the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission has hired an expert, and we, as 8 communities, have agreed to work together in this peer review of the traffic study. And they had a presentation last night. So we're going to go through the presentation. Hopefully between those 3 things, we will have a better idea of where we are in the process.
Let me back up. Mm-hmm. Now, the town of Long Meadow also hired a consultant.
Yes, we have our own traffic consultants, and also I would describe as a public safety consultant.
And so there's been some dialogue, some offers and counter offers, is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Regarding the proposal from our consultants and/or from the...
No, right now the first thing we've gotten was a initial offer from MGM. We're in the middle of negotiations. There was a revised offer, and then I'll describe where we are in the process.
Okay, great.
So this is just MGM's initial approach.
Yeah, there has not been a counter offer by the town. I think that's an important point to make.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to understand is how can you make a counter offer if we haven't had our consultant final report?
That is a key question that we're working on right now.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. So what MGM has done is there's 8 communities that they won't say are surrounding communities, but are affected communities. And they have made an offer to each of those communities, and 2 have settled. One is Agawam has signed, and Ludlow has signed.
So this is a preemptive order
Yes.
before these communities have come back with
And
it.
before the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission came out with their...
Interesting.
Yes. So the first offer that came, and I think we reviewed it in the last select board meeting, was $50,000 for legal and consulting fees that the town has incurred, $75,000 for annual mitigation payments, third-party studies for baseline conditions. Because what MGM believes is a look back. They said no matter how many studies we do right now, we will never completely understand what the effects are, so we would prefer to look back, take the measurements, and then decide if there should be a change in the mitigation payments. So the look back approach is that for 1 year and 5 years, for the net adverse impact, and then during those years of net that we do the look back, they will pay us $25,000 for consultant fees, because we will have to continue to do studies and measurements.
Okay, so there's a base year, is that what you're saying?
A base year.
And what's the base year?
Would be this upcoming year before the casinos have come in.
2014 or 2013?
Wherever we start measuring.
Oh, okay.
There's no agreement on that
Okay, so
yet.
that, and then everything then would be 1 year, 3 year, 5 year out, that you're going to look back.
And then we would have to go and prove any further mitigation needs beyond the
So
75,000.
75, okay, I'll ask more questions about the 75 later. Go.
There's only two look-back intervals, I think it's important. 1 year and 5 year under the proposal that MGM made.
Okay,
Any disagreements on what the net adverse impact would be settled on arbitration. Now, who the arbitrator is, all the communities together would agree, and this term for the agreement is only the initial gaming license duration, which is 15 years. So any agreements that are signed are only for 15 years, because that is the term of the agreement.
and this is the first time, this is a new gaming law in the state of Massachusetts. This is the first out-of-the-chute testing of this?
In fact, Arlene, this is the first time that surrounding community requirements, community agreements have been required under the law in the nation.
Okay.
So this is first in the nation stuff, and we're really writing best practices as we speak, as well as the Gaming Commission, and it's been interesting to see it unfold.
And as we speak, though, MGM has not been, a couple of things have happened. The town of Long Meadow at its special town meeting voted to oppose this casino
In a non-binding way.
in a non-binding way.
Mhm.
But the state has released its, or has not released its review of MGM as a qualified candidate.
They have.
They
and
have.
that was Monday.
And they did pass that.
I don't know if they have taken the vote yet, but it seems likely that they will.
Pass it. And Palmer, the other threat to the MGM proposal, that town voted that down. So
Yes.
the only current Western Mass proposal is the Springfield event. About this money, $75,000 annual mitigation payments, is that in a dedicated fund, or can that money be tapped for anything?
Right now, that would be up to the town and what they want to do. It's $75,000 given to the town, and how we're going to manage that would be
Can
up
it
to the
just go
town.
for recreation?
Anything we want.
Oh, seriously, so
Yeah.
it's not like, it's really...
It's not
that-
earmarked.
It's not so
The
it'll be
only
part of the
thing
budget
that-
battle.
The only thing that's earmarked is the $50,000. It would have to be that would be for reimbursement of our legal and consulting fees,
And-
according to this agreement.
And the town voted at the special town meeting to appropriate up to
100,000,
$100,000. So this is
So some of that would be reimbursed. Now, I want to restate, this is just their proposal.
Yes.
So I think you're talking about hypotheticals that really may never come to pass, because we may not agree to their
right.
proposal.
So is there a timeline that, are you under some sort of a timeline as to how long you have to consider this? And are they under, is this whole process of agreeing on a mitigation number under a timeline?
Well, the timeline is, they have to show that they've been negotiating with us in good faith by the December 31st application deadline. What MGM would like is they would like a settlement and an agreement by December 15th, which is Monday. This is what their request was. Now, I don't see how we're on that timeline. Technically, according to the legislation, I think they also would like an agreement by the 31st. According to the legislation, we really have 30 days after that application. And if they do not accept us as a surrounding community, then we have 10 more days in order to argue that.
There cannot be any question.
There can be. There actually can be. The law, you are only a surrounding community in two ways. Either it is not, and it has nothing to, I should say nothing. Geography is not the deciding factor. And there was one of the recent examples of this is a slots parlor, or a category 2 is what they call the slots parlors.
Okay.
Facility that's proposed in Leominster. Bolton is one town away.
Abutting or one town away?
One town away.
Right.
One town separates it from Leominster, from the site.
Yeah.
And Fitchburg is an abutting town, but is on the north side of Leominster, and the facility that's proposed is on the south side. Bolton was designated a surrounding community by the Mass Gaming Commission. Fitchburg was not. And that's really important because it shows that they're looking at more than just proximity. It's traffic impacts, and really predominantly traffic impacts. And so the developer, in this case MGM, can put in its application, Long Meadow is a surrounding community, and it is so. We are a surrounding community. They can choose to not do that, and then we have a 10-day window
Okay.
to apply I mean, obviously, we have an excellent case, and the traffic information we heard last night, I think, reinforces our case as a surrounding community. But once those timelines start ticking, after that 30-day negotiating window that Marie alluded to expires, both parties, MGM and the towns, or casinos and communities, end up put on an arbitration process. And an arbitrator, ultimately, not the gaming commission, an arbitrator or a panel of arbitrators ultimately decide the framework of the surrounding community agreement.
But just by nature of the fact that you're negotiating with them, to me, says they must
No.
not.
Not
That is
necessarily.
that's actually a term of art, a surrounding community from the legislation. And they say we're affected community. But it was very interesting at Pioneer Valley Planning Commission last night. They said Mass Gaming Commission has the sole responsibility of the deciding who is a surrounding community. And that's only done in the December 31st application. So if we have an agreement with them, then we know that agreement will be added to the application, and then we will be designated as a surrounding community. But the final arbiter of that is the Mass Gaming Commission.
Interesting. So it's in the town of Long Meadow's best interest to wrap this up by the 31st?
Maybe. It depends on what they're offering.
And how does their offer to Long Meadow compare? You've seen, I trust, the offers to Ludlow and Agawam. Similar?
I think it's a matter of public record at this point that the offer that we have on the table is
Long
almost
Meadow.
exactly similar to Ludlow's. We've had ongoing dialogue with MGM, and we will continue to have ongoing dialogue. I mean, we are when Marie says we're in active negotiations, I mean, we communicate with them at least once a week. Because I think we are compelled under the statute to fair and reasonably negotiate a surrounding community agreement. There will be a surrounding community agreement if we are found to be a surrounding community, no matter what, either by negotiation or arbitration. There's going to be one.
Yes.
And the statute really doesn't want towns fighting, so or trying to overreach, and so we have to, by law, do these negotiations and do this preparation that we're doing. And so, in terms of the status of where we have as an agreement, what they presented is similar to Ludlow. As conversations evolve, we hope to certainly have our agreement reflect the scope of the impacts on our community, because we obviously aren't impacted the same way as Ludlow.
For sure.
The important point is that the MGM is giving similar agreements. The terms of the agreements are very similar. The dollar amounts might vary depending on the community. But this look-back approach they very strongly believe in. As I said, it's a non-negotiable issue. They really feel that no matter how much we spend on experts, we're never going to be able to really see what the effects are, and they feel it's important to go for the look back. Now, there's some advantages, but there's a lot of disadvantages to the look back also. So we are looking and discussing it with our team and deciding how we want to do the counteroffer. So the ball is really in our court right now to make a counteroffer.
So I'm confused about, there's a December 31st date, and then there's the consultants that the town of Long Meadow hired who are looking at various aspects, not
Yes.
just traffic, various other aspects, I'm sure crime and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say they're looking at impacts that are knowable and predictable in development. I mean, when shopping malls or amusement parks or hotels or any kind of large-scale development goes to a place, those places have means of assessing and projecting traffic impacts, and they can then assess a developer fee in advance of construction. This is a very, very common thing in the development world. So it's less common with casinos, obviously, because there are fewer of them, but that is basically the process we're engaged in right now.
Okay, so the benefit we're going to get from the consultants that you've hired is on the look back, not on the original.
No, I think it's very important that we accurately decide what our effects are going to be now.
But when will you'll be able to do that by December 31st?
Oh, yes.
Based on MGM's traffic projections, our consultants can say, well, if this is the traffic that's going to materialize from the casino, then these improvements should be made to mitigate the impact of that traffic. Or if it's a public safety issue or whatever the issue is, we're looking at a broad spectrum of issues.
Okay.
And so they can come up with analyses that are based on industry standards.
By December 31st?
Well, we hope so. We certainly are trying to make a counteroffer as soon as possible, But we, like I said, we are not compelled, we are not held to that December 31st deadline. That is
Because
MGM's
of
deadline.
that. Okay, so how much, then, again, how long after December 31st do we have to have our
It's
data from
30 days
consultant?
after they submit
30.
the application.
Okay, so-
And they may not submit the application until December 31st.
Okay.
Or they might. do
So we
it
don't have a
earlier.
lot of time
No.
to make that
No,
determination?
but I think we've been preparing for this for a while, and so I think we can, the information we need to really put to best represent the town's interests in bargaining, we believe we are
There we go.
extremely close to having in hand.
And as a town, we have to be more proactive. We can't wait until the problems occur. And that's why we really want to have a better idea of what is out there and what we can do. Richard, can you get to the second slide that's in the very beginning?
We're good for time, Marie, so we have a
Here we go.
good 10 minutes. if you want.
And also, as we mentioned during the negotiations, that you can't, as a town, we can't just move money around. We have to know what our budget is. Our budget's tight. In order to get further funds, if a problem does arise, we'd have to go to town meeting. So we really feel it's important to be a little more accurate on what our needs are up front, and we can't depend on the 1-year and 5-year look back to really do that. And the other problem of the look back for us is that we need to be able to be more accurate, and we don't want to have to fight for what we feel is important. And I think if you looked at the revised proposal, you'll see some of the other problems that we're concerned about, and that is that payments will not start until MGM starts collecting revenue, though we might have to start preparing ahead of time for the traffic situation. The annual cost will be paid over 9 years instead of 15 in the way of deciding what our mitigation study costs are going to be. The look back, now here it is, the look back must be a direct result of the project. So we will have to argue whether the increased traffic is really coming from increased use of Six Flags, or is it really coming from the casino? So it becomes a little more complicated. They also will say that look back offset payments by beneficial results. If they say that the economic conditions have improved in the city of Springfield, our housing values have gone up, then it won't be a simple.
Offsets the mitigation
It
a
will
little bit.
offset the mitigation, which is
Interesting.
fine. We're hoping that there'll be a lot of positive results too but then that will be a very difficult part in order to prove it. There was also a line of major negative impacts that only exceed 500,000. So that we would have to really look at the bigger impacts, not a lot of the smaller impacts that could start to increase.
Well, I'm amazed at how much, first of all, you've done, and how much is going to be accomplished in the next 45 days, if I'm counting close.
Very,
Pretty close.
very busy next few weeks.
I mean, amazing stuff. But can I ask who's on the team? Our team?
It's Marie and I,
Yeah.
and we also have, we are represented by special counsel, a firm that's based in Quincy that had some experience working on, not only working with casino issues, but also doing large-scale developments representing towns as like a mall was going to be built in their town. Like I said, we have another consultant firm that's helping us with the more general municipal services like public safety. And then really, the select board is a big part of the team. One of the things that's been tricky for us, and I think is important for people who happen to be watching at home, the open meetings law requires, elected bodies to deliberate in open session. And there are exemptions to that. And even though negotiations are an exemption, there are certain enumerated subjects of negotiation that are eligible for executive session. Surrounding community agreements isn't one of them because the Gaming Act was done after the
Sure.
open meetings law was passed. I'm going to guess that they were going to do that again. Negotiating one of these agreements would be exempted. I know they want a transparent process, and that's fine, but MGM can plan for their strategy and their negotiation and figure out what information they're going to bring forth behind closed doors. And they can be watching this show, they can be watching, we're all online, and so trying to discuss strategy and what information we're collecting and what our kind of the groundwork we're laying to develop our counter proposal, to some extent, it helps us and the residents to have that done with some level of discretion. So it's been a challenge, but I think we've done a good job keeping the select board informed as best we can, and we've been getting constant input from them.
Well, it's very interesting the way we've actually handled it, and that is that our legal team has been sending information to each select board member, not to the group.
Mhm.
And it's
And that respects the open meeting law.
it respects the open meeting law. It also allows the select board members to communicate directly with the attorney. It might be a little more expensive that way, but we have a lot we have to do in 1 month, and every select board member has to be completely active in this process, and they are. So they've been active with the legal team. They've been discussing the next step, discussing negotiations, and I have not been the only select board member attending the various meetings that have been going on. And we, this week, have had multiple meetings. Next week, we're going to have multiple meetings. And so you will see a lot of meetings posted and then canceled. To keep the open meeting law, we have to post these meetings. If we don't need the meeting, we're pulling back. But we need to communicate as much as possible as a group, which we have been doing. And the select board is waiting till next week when we really get a lot of our experts are going to be giving their reports in, and then each select board member is going to be communicating directly with them in deciding how we're going to do an offer, because we can't do that in open session. So it is
a lot
very
of time
complicated.
consuming.
And the
my-
select boards worked very hard on this.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I do want to, in addition to the hard work of the board, the town departments have
Yes.
spent a lot of time researching in sort of in preparing and helping our consultant team, who can take our data and then apply it to national information standards. I
Sure.
mean, our department heads are very talented people, but they're not analysts and statisticians. But they have really gone out, and we've identified other casinos in around the country that are similar profile to what Springfield would be, identified the surrounding communities, and then had some of the department heads reach out to talk to their peers in
Sure.
those communities to get an anecdotal sense, really not a data-driven approach, but an anecdotal sense of how has this happened, or how does this impact your community, what are things to look out for, and we've been filtering that information to our consultants to help that inform their analysis.
So, Marie, when we spoke before the show, you mentioned something about misinformation getting out there. What's your concern? Is there a particular item that you feel has been...
I feel that it's a very complicated process, and the offers, like we have the original offer, there's revised offer, there's Ludlow agreements, Agawam agreements, and I don't want the residents to get all of this confused, and that's why I felt it was really important for us to sit
Great.
down with you, and I think you were able to ask the right questions to get more information out, but I would like us to be able to do this a little more often. I
Sure.
know we right now have spent more time than I imagined on the first two slides, so we didn't even get to the presentation of the traffic material.
If you
So
want to
if we
do
could-
something, go right to it.
If we could do it another
Sure.
time, because I know
Okay, you've
it's,
got your meeting.
and you have to get also, so if we could do another time, so I could go into, at this meeting that's coming up, we're going to, the select board meeting, we'll be
This-
discussing.
Which will be this evening.
This evening. And as I said, things are moving so quickly. By next week, there'll probably be changes on where we are in the negotiations. And since this is all an open session, I think it's really important for the residents to be part of this and understand where we are going in the
Sure.
process.
Well, if you want to do a clip like this once a week or whatever, we can certainly, if Long Meadow Cable will tape it, we're able to do that. It
That would
doesn't,
be
this isn't
wonderful.
taking, if you're prepared to talk about it, which apparently you are,
Yeah.
you must dream about it. What's amazing to me is that, if my memory is correct, this is like budget crunch time
Yeah.
for the town's budget. All the department heads are usually wacko crazy doing that, and at the same time, you're having this superimposed, this issue that's so major. Wow.
Yeah.
Kudos to you all for the work you're doing for the town on this. Do you want to wrap then,
Yeah,
because
I
of your
think-
other meeting, and then?
And then if we could do it more, so we could actually get a little bit more. And next week, we will also have some of the data from our two teams of experts.
So other than something like this, is there a pool of information that residents can access, or not really? Because of the status of where it is. I mean, are you getting phone calls off the Kazubies at the office?
I think not that much, and I think it's because the select board has been discussing it so much, and we've been, the media, and I'm going to give the not only the print media, but the local television stations credit. They have obviously been all over the casino story, and so it is an oft-reported topic, and we've been able to communicate on behalf of the town through the
Accurately.
media accurately,
Good.
and they've really stuck with the details of the stories, which is good. And so I think the town is getting a lot of questions answered probably that way.
Good.
We, like I said, we have open discussions about it at our select board meetings that I think people watch. And if anybody does have any questions about this, they can certainly call me at Town Hall at
Be careful what you ask for.
565-4110. And certainly or they can, email me, and my information's available on the website. And I can, certainly forward information to the select board or answer questions directly. But, we appreciate your time tonight, Arlene, because it's
my pleasure.
important. It's an important vehicle to get out information.
So let's call this Casino Update 101, and stay tuned for Casino Update 102, which will be coming very shortly. And I want to thank my guests, Marie Angelides and Stephen Crane, for taking the time to carefully explain to the residents of Long Meadow where we are in this very difficult and challenging process of helping to protect the town and take advantage of this opportunity to get some funding for mitigation, but also to protect the town from this unknown thing that's coming. That this is a big moment in the history of our community, and a lot of work is going into it. So thank you.
We'll be glad when it's over.
Thank you, and good evening.
And thank you,
Thanks.
Arlene.